Thanks. There we go. All right. I'm learning. Let's see. Cinema. Here we go. Present. Share screen. Scheduled execution. Here we go. This will probably get me taken down just from this alone. Anywho, here we go. This guy apparently, I think it's like 30 years ago, there's more than one, had some sort of satanic type ritual. And anyway, horrifically, they butchered a young lady, and when they were done, threw off a cliff. So I don't know anyone else that would be more. I know a lot of people are just totally anti-death penalty, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know anyone that would be more relevant to needing that as a punishment. And it is a lawful punishment. So we'll see how let's learn about it, and we'll do it together and see how it goes. Okay. All right. Let's try this.
Hello, I am Paco Rivera, and this is the Death Row. He committed 30 years ago. Year-old Carrie Dale Grayson is scheduled to be executed in Alabama for a murder he committed 30 years ago in 1994 when he was 19 years old. But he wasn't alone when he committed that crime.
Mind you, you cannot execute. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court's changed it. It used to be, let's say you were 16 and you murdered someone. When you turned 18, you could still be put to death. And now that's changed. So one of these punks is he's just in for life. So just keep that in mind.
He was with 3 other teenagers. 2 of them were 17-year-olds, and the third was 16 at the time. And when you have that many perpetrators committing a crime together, chances are that someone is going to talk. And that's exactly what happened. I'll discuss a little more later in this video what sentences were given to the other 3 accomplices.
What in the hell is that? The hell is he? Is he a mascara on? What the hell's wrong with his hair? I mean, I'm losing my hair. What the hell is this? Oh, God, I've seen it all. This would be my client. That would be my luck. I'd get appointed to this fruitcake.
In this crime. On the night of February 21st of the year 1994, 37-year-old Vicky Lynn W. was living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and wanted to visit her family back home in West Monroe, Louisiana. Now, before anyone gets on me regarding the pronunciation of Vicky's last name, I did research and found that depending on the family and regions, it's pronounced several different ways. I got W, W, and W. For now, I'll just use W since that one appeared to be the most common. Anyway, Vicky W's plan was to hitchhike from Tennessee to Louisiana. She asked a friend in Tennessee named Andy Smith for a ride, and he agreed to take her to a truck stop in the state of Georgia, where she asked truck drivers if she can ride with them, but they all refused. Some reports show
them truck drivers, stay away from them lot lizards. Lot lizards will get you. It's like that scene in Empire Strikes Back where they in that monster. It's in the I think it's like an asteroid or something, and they park it and they don't know they're in a monster's gut, and they get out and there's those little things that stick to the windshield and going, Minox or something like that. I can't remember. That's a lot lizard. That's basically what they do. They just show up and bing, here they are. They'll come in your truck. It's crazy.
Andy Smith as Vicky's romantic partner, and other reports show him as just a friend, so I'm not sure which is the case. Andy Smith would later testify in court that he had tried to talk Vicky out of hitchhiking. Now, before some of you get all up in arms in the comments about how dumb it is to hitchhike, remember that this was 1994. All through the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even early 90s, hitchhiking was still very common. And there was very little news published or broadcasted about the risks and dangers and people getting killed. It has only been in
this is not a true statement. It sort of kind of in the early 70s, and it was in I'm trying to think Netflix's Mindhunter. I think it's Mindhunter. Edmund Kemper. You can actually text or type it in YouTube and bring up the original. In fact, I'm probably going to do the video and we'll just do a watch along with it. He is the only serial killer that I know of that turned himself in, but it's exactly how he did it. He picked up hitchhikers, and I think it's University of California, Santa Monica, I believe, in and around that area. And he was a hitchhiker killer. So, yeah, he's partly right. No, this has been a thing since cars have been on the road. I mean, let's be realistic.
Recent times over the past 20 years or so that it seems we have been bombarded with news stories of murders occurring during hitchhiking. And it goes both ways. Sometimes the driver kills the hitchhiker, and sometimes the hitchhiker kills the driver. When Andy Smith testified that he tried to talk Vicky out of hitchhiking, it's not clear in the report that he was concerned for her safety. There's no mention of that. Maybe he just didn't want her to leave
Clair County
or leave Tennessee.
Is where she was found. I practiced in St. Clair, Talladega, and yes, it's Talladega County, and kind of all over. But next to that, you go from St. Clair County, it's all on the I-20 corridor, Talladega, and then to Calhoun County.
Anyway, regarding Andy Smith's pleas for Vicky to stay and not hitchhike, Vicky was intent and determined to make her way to Louisiana. Andy and Vicky continued on to the state of Alabama along Interstate 59, and he dropped off Vicky at the first exit in Alabama after crossing over into that state. Now, she had apparently got a ride from someone else at some point because she eventually got as far as the Trussville exit of I-59 deeper into Alabama.
That's still in Jefferson County.
And Trussville is quite a distance from that first exit that Andy described where he
shopping center is at.
Near that Trussville, Alabama exit from the I-59, there were 4 youngsters gathered in a pickup truck that was going by.
Man,
the oldest of them was Carrie Grayson, who I said was 19 at the time. Even though they were all teenagers at the time, the pictures you will see here are mugshots taken more recently. The other 3 were Kenneth Loggins, who was 17 at the time, Trace Duncan, also 17, and Louis Mangione, who was 16. All 4 were drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana that night in February of 1994. According to later testimony from several in the group, the oldest, Grayson,
people do that all the time. They
Satan,
killing people,
and often spoke about wanting to kill someone, mutilate the person, and even engage in cannibalistic rituals by eating parts of the person. The 4 of them spotted a young woman on the side of the road for the Interstate 59 ramp, trying to flag down vehicles headed in the direction of Louisiana. That woman was Vicky Lynn W. The group approached her and offered to give her a ride. Vicky accepted and got into the pickup truck with them. I can only assume that what appeared to be 4 young boys out having fun did not seem like any kind of threat to Vicky. At some point during the ride, the teenagers told Vicky that they needed to go somewhere to switch to a different vehicle. Vicky was not happy about that at all and began protesting and asking to be let out of the car. But the 4 youths refused to let her go.
The 4
which
youths
means at this point, she's essentially kidnapped. They drove deep into a wooded area and everyone got out. By this point, Vicky realized she was in danger and made a run for it. But the youths caught up to her and began beating her mercilessly. According to one of the teenagers' confessions later, they stomped and kicked her head and body for nearly 30 minutes. She may have been dead long before the beating had ended. These youths then put Vicky's body and her luggage into the back of the pickup truck and drove to Bald Rock Mountain. Once there, they removed the clothing on her body and proceeded to fiddle with or mess with the dead body. They then tossed her off a cliff down into a quarry below. After that, they went to a car wash in Pell City, Alabama, to wash all the blood from the pickup truck. They then removed items from Vicky's luggage and tossed whatever they didn't keep along with the bag into a
they were
on their way back to Birmingham, Alabama. They dropped off the youngest of the group, 16-year-old Louis Mangione, at his house. And the remaining 3, Carrie Grayson, Trace Duncan, and Kenneth Loggins, decided that they weren't done yet. They wanted to return to Bald Rock Mountain and go down to the bottom of the cliff there and mess with the body some more. They used knives to stab the body 180 times and slice it up, and even rip out organs from her body. One report stated that one of the youths bit into one of those organs. They also removed all the fingers. At some point, one of those youths, during some time spent once again with the youngest of the 4, 16-year-old Louis Mangione, who had been dropped off at his house that night, he gave Mangione as a gift one of those fingers. On February 26th, 4 days after the crime, a hiker at Bald Rock Mountain discovered the battered remains of Vicky W. and notified authorities. In the days leading to that discovery, Louis Mangione had found it amusing to show off the human finger to his friends. But at least one of those friends didn't find it so amusing and contacted police. And it was only a matter of time that all 4 youths, Carrie Grayson, Trace Duncan, Kenneth Loggins, and Louis Mangione, were arrested for the murder of Vicky Lynn W. All 4 were tried in court separately and found guilty. Carrie Grayson, as we know, was sentenced to death, and he remains on death row until his scheduled execution on November 21st of this year. Trace Duncan and Kenneth Loggins were originally also sentenced to death. However, in the year 2003, the United States Supreme Court banned the death penalty for anyone who murdered someone before turning 18 years old. And since both Duncan and Loggins were 17 when they committed the crime, their sentences were changed to life without the possibility of
No, I say
parole.
go on.
However,
Let 'em
in the year
challenge it.
2012, Alabama changed its law, not allowing minors, anyone who was under 18 at the time of the crime, to be sentenced to life without having a chance of parole. Therefore, as a result, both Duncan and Loggins, according to the Alabama Department of Corrections data, now show both as being considered for parole on July 1st of the year 2029, after having served roughly 30 years in prison. The youngest of the group, Louis Mangione, who was 16.
In Alabama, you're only eligible for parole every 5 years. So if they're denied, it'll go 5 more years, and then you get parole hearing again. They'll just keep denying them. These guys ain't never getting out.
At the time of the crime, was originally sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, but because of that 2012 Alabama law, he is now also considered for parole on that same date, July 1st, 2029, about 5 years from now. Vicki Lynn W. was born in April of the year 1956. According to her family, she grew up during her childhood years in Natchitoches, Louisiana. She later lived in West Monroe, Louisiana. In 1973, when Vicki was 17 years old, she gave birth to a daughter named Melissa. The father was a man named Curtis Corbin. Sadly, Melissa passed away recently from natural causes just last year, in 2023, at the age of 50. Sometime after the birth of Melissa, Vicki met and married a musician by the last name of Haley, and together they had a daughter that they named Jody. Some records also indicate a brother named Curtis Corbin Jr., who is obviously the son of Melissa's father, but I don't think Vicki was the natural mother, and he is a half-brother to Melissa, and I believe Vicki during her lifetime had just the 2 girls. Once again, according to the family, Vicki enjoyed riding horses and loved listening to music, which is what led to the marriage with Jody's musician dad. She also loved traveling and wanted to see the world. According to Jody, she found joy in the everyday small things and did her best to live in the moment. She had a great sense of humor and would have you laughing so hard you'd be holding your stomach. She was a great mom, and I miss her very much. As it turns out, Jody Haley is very much opposed to the upcoming execution of Carrie Grayson, the man who took part in killing her mom. And she has requested that I convey the following message that I received from her to everyone out there. Killing someone because they killed doesn't resonate at all with me. Evil begets evil, and it creates a vicious cycle, one we've been doing for hundreds of years. Obviously, we're doing the same thing and getting the same results, the definition of insanity. Revenge shouldn't be at the forefront of our judicial system's agenda. Rather, preventive measures working to improve the hearts of people is the best answer I've been able to come up with. Of course, the Attorney General's office tells me there's nothing to be done about his punishment, although
early in my career, I actually worked in Marshall County, which is where Steve Marshall, the Alabama AG, is from. He's a good dude, and the law's the law. I mean, that is the punishment handed out, and that has to be carried forth. So, I don't know if she's read the reports of what they did to her mama, but I can tell you that he doesn't deserve. Everyone deserves, obviously, their constitutional rights to be preserved for a trial. There are some of those. In Georgia, growing up, there was a affirmative defense. It wasn't statute, but it was called the "some bitch needed killing" defense. And if I believe the guy that actually articulated, I think he's still, if I'm not mistaken, he was alive. I think as of last year. You have to Google it, but sometimes these evil people, I know, say, "Oh, we can just put him in prison." They'll kill in prison. They're going to kill again. It's not a one-time deal. Once you've done it, it's not a big deal for them. They just don't care. So,
the victim. And I've clearly stated that I don't want this to happen. And it's a shame that my thoughts and feelings hold no weight or merit. Now, I have stated in the past that I will create these presentations considering myself as neutral and unbiased with regard.
All right. So, that is Alabama executed that guy, I believe, on Friday, not mistaken. And it was done with, let me see if I can get this work. It was done with no issues. Or, you always hear, "Oh, they flailed and couldn't breathe and choked and blah, blah, blah." Well, it went off without a hitch. Third one in a row. Third one. I'm surprised we don't adopt at least what I think Mississippi has. I know South Carolina and Utah brought it back, which is execution by firing squad. Sounds brutal, but it's quick. And believe it or not, Japan does it by hanging. They hang. So I don't know why we can't go and hire Usagi Yojimbo from Tokyo who does it to teach us how to do it. And it could be done on automated procedures. So no one has to be involved with it. Because I think that is a big problem, especially on firing squad, because they say, oh, well, they all have one has a live round and the others have blanks, or two have real live rounds and the others have blanks. I have fired guns my whole life. A blank, you know it when you fired it. You know it. You know when you've gotten the real one because it kicks. You know. So I'm not sure I like that. I think that's too, you'd have to almost find a psychopath that just didn't care. But you could do it another way. This will probably get taken down by YouTube because, oh God, how you dare you talk about punishments for death? It's like, I'm not advocating. I'm just telling you what the law is. I'm saying there's other options. We don't have to do it. That's an option. But if there is going to be one, this one seems to be, painless and fairly quick. So, and I really never understood the whole lethal injection problem, because they use midazolam, which you get it when you go to surgery. It's called Versed. It's that little googly goo juice they give you right before you go on, or before you go back. And then you get the milky stuff, which is either ketamine or propofol, which puts you out. That googly goo stuff they give you, Versed, that's what they use, an overdose. So this is nitrogen. Nitrogen's easy to get. Obviously, it's in the air. Anyway, they get a concentrated form, and they don't have to worry about companies saying, "Yeah, you can't have our stuff." So, anyway, I thought we'd go. I might go over some more executions. It's a hard topic, but it is the law. It's the law of these United States, the general government, and then most of the states have it as well. They just don't do it. Texas, I think, and Oklahoma lead the way. I think Ohio's got the second or third most on death row. They have warrants ready to go. But I believe Japan executes more per year than even Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, for next time, hit the subscribe, like button, all that other mess everybody says to do. Please just hit a comment saying, screw you, I don't like you. I don't care. That's fine. Give me some ideas. Put it at the bottom. Whatever. Just do something so I can get the algorithms going. Okay? Thank you. See y'all later. Bye.